Back squats and front squats are excellent leg developers. However, depending on your injury history, joint mobility, relative limb lengths, and height, they aren't always necessarily the best tool from a pure hypertrophy standpoint. In some cases, a machine, like a leg press or hack squat, can allow for less joint stress or pain while providing just as much or more tension to the target muscles. Also, for a lifter who wants to take a break from or lessen the magnitude of spine loading, the leg press or hack squat, respectively, can be useful sub-ins or assistant exercises for squats, or useful ways to accumulate volume with a similar movement pattern with less joint stress, spine loading, perceived exertion, and subsequently, lower global fatigue. Like squats, these exercises, when performed with a full range of motion, simultaneously train knee and hip extension, and thus, primarily the quadriceps and glutes. When setting up on a leg press or hack squat, there are a number of considerations for form. First, you want to choose a stance width that is both comfortable, typically those with wider hips needing a wider foot position, and those with narrower hips needing a narrower foot position, that also allows for a full range of motion. On the leg press, the width of your feet can also affect whether or not your upper body gets in the way of your thighs. In addition to the width of your feet, you can alter the angle of your feet. Your knees should track over your toes during reps, and thus, when angling your feet, your femurs will externally rotate. For some, allowing a deeper range of motion without your torso getting in the way occurs with externally rotated femurs. Additionally, if you have limited ankle mobility, you may be able to achieve more range of motion with externally rotated feet. Also, placing your feet lower will result in more forward knee travel relative to your lower leg and thus more rotation about the knee and greater quadriceps tension. Likewise, a higher foot position results in less rotation about the knee and more glute tension. However, if you have limited ankle mobility, you won't be able to go very deep with a lower foot position, which will reduce the rotation about the knee. Thus, if your primary goal is to target your quads, you can use squat shoes with an elevated heel and place your feet as low as you can on the pad while still able to do a full range of motion without your heels lifting or your hips raising off the pad. Using a higher foot position will also limit your range of motion since your hips cannot travel backward and your torso has to remain in the fixed position. Thus, move your feet only so high that you can while still achieving a full range of motion if your primary goal is to target your glutes. When performing the leg press, another limiting factor for range of motion is the height of the back pad. The higher the back pad, the higher your torso, and thus, the earlier your legs will contact your body, and the less range of motion you'll achieve without your lumbar rounding or your thighs contacting your hips. Therefore, adjust the back pad to be as low as possible so you can still get the most range of motion without your lumbar rounding. Safety is important when performing either the hack squat or leg press. Make sure there is a built-in end range of motion stopper so that if you fail, you'll be able to safely get off the machine without being crushed by the sled. Different machines have different weight releases and catches, so make sure you're familiar with the machine you're using. To initiate either exercise safely, plant both feet evenly beneath you, lift the weight off the racks, unhook the top range of motion weight catch, and reposition your feet carefully if needed. Likewise, when finishing a set, make sure you have cleared the top range of motion weight catch and firmly secure the catch before exiting the machine. While performing reps, especially when using heavy loads in lower rep ranges, it's important to brace in the same way you would on a squat. Likewise, you can use a belt on a leg press or hack squat. However, as there is built-in stability on these exercises, don't expect nearly as much of a strength boost from using it, although it still may aid performance to some degree. To brace, take a deep breath at the top of each rep before descending. Hold the breath throughout the rep until you've returned to the start position at full extension. Breathe out and take another deep breath and hold it for the next rep, repeating this process until you finish the set. This provides a rigid torso for optimal force transfer so you can apply more load and tension to your legs. Finally, to provide additional stability and force transfer, grasp the leg press firmly on the handles if they're present, or if not, simply the sides of the machine as shown here.